Hello fellow World of Warcraft fans, welcome back to a new video on my channel. Today we have to address a topic that has been making the rounds a lot lately. I once started talking about this in passing in a gearing guide video, but now I've given it some more thought and I want to share those thoughts with you. In fact, in a lot of guides you are advised to only take bonus rolls in the vault. And in the end, the more I think about it, that tactic is actually completely ridiculous. I'll explain to you why it's completely counterproductive for, let's say, probably 95% of players to do it this way. Let's take a look at the whole thing. If you want, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. We're not far from reaching 38,000. That would be awesome. And with that, let's get started. So we can see the whole thing here. For example, this was the gearing guide that I showed you. Gandalin's Gearing Guide, which is basically what it's all about. Taking bonus rolls. Here it says. Someone also writes in the comments, after this week, you'll probably take the vault bonus every week that I showed you. That was the gearing guide I showed you. And that's basically what it's all about in the end. I'm not even sure if he included this here with the bonus rolls. With these things in the raid, it now only costs 1 token, and you get from the raid, if you go in on heroic, you'll get mythic loot through the bonus rolls. That sounds pretty awesome on paper. In practice though, it's not really practical for most players, and by now, the whole thing has become kind of a meme. We have videos on this topic, where, for example, people say, hey, bonus rolls ruin things. Rolls. Because, for example, I've seen that there are also videos about this in the German-speaking community, and I'm not saying this as a negative example or anything like that. I'm just saying that it's reached here as well. And on Reddit, everything is flooded with memes about the bonus roll and so on and so forth. So as I said, in theory, that sounds pretty nice. Farming mythic items in the heroic raid, awesome. Problem number 1 is the heroic raid is pretty difficult this season. Wednesday morning. So I recorded the video yesterday. It's like this. That. I don't know, not many get through. So we have the first boss down. Yeah, or at Nexali, let's put it this way. We have about 1,700 kills. The Sentinels, so the guards, have almost 3,000 kills. Lost Explorers, 2,500. 2,600. Vashnik, 2,200. And from there, it gets more difficult. At that point, 200 people had defeated the final boss. For the second to last boss, we're not even at 1,000. And that's very, very unusual. You don't see that often. And here you have to add that the loot from the first bosses usually isn't worth saving your bonus rolls for. Sure, it's awesome, I don't know, to get a tier set piece on Mythic. But when it comes to trinkets or other stuff, the loot from the first bosses usually isn't that strong. That means if you save it for the raid, you'll most likely want to roll where the juicy stuff drops. And we're usually talking about the last 2 bosses. So, problem number 1. Most of the people who are doing heroic now and saving their bonus rolls won't be at those later bosses yet. Especially if you're best in slot, just as an example here, for my boomkin it would be this dagger here. Even if I were still in my mythic guild now, we wouldn't have downed Uda Uda Tech on heroic yet. So I might save up bonus rolls for 1 or 2 weeks, then eventually have a chance at the dagger and end up getting a necklace first, which is also pretty awesome. I take that too. Or this chest piece here. Which is okay, but the problem is, you say your bonus rolls, don't get any loot at first, and that puts you at a gear disadvantage. a lot of people who play Mythic Plus aren't even in a raid guild. And especially for them, it makes absolutely no sense to save these bonus rolls. So for those who didn't catch that, if you've unlocked at least 3 reward slots, you can choose a bonus roll instead of loot, which then allows you to roll at a boss or dungeon. And here, well, how should I put it? It's also not guaranteed that you'll get the item you want. So if I were to roll at Ula Ula attack, I would have the chance to get 3 items. Tokens are not rolled for, like this one here. That means, in the worst case, I don't get the weapon I've been saving my bonus rolls to ward for 3 weeks until the 3rd try. Like that. If you're in a Mythic Raiding Guild, it obviously makes sense to say, man, I'll save my bonus rolls and use them on the best bosses. But for everyone else, like me here on my Shaman, my item level is 301. 318 mythic item would give me a huge upgrade in a lot of slots. Not taking that now, in a season. Or in a game where item level is generally very important to keep up. You're blocking your own progress or advancement in Mythic Plus quite a bit by doing that. If you now, purely hypothetically, where it obviously makes sense, for example, I crafted myself a weapon, and now I have, for example, 2 weapons and a shield here. With the shield, I know, okay, that's what I want to craft next, so I don't need to take it. Then you take the bonus roll. Or you have 2 very good HC trinkets, purely hypothetically, and here are 3 bad mythic trinkets included. Then I would probably also consider taking the bonus roll. But like I said, it's absolutely pointless for the majority of players to follow this pattern. And like I said, if you're in a raid guild where you know you're gonna take down Ulatek next week, okay, go for it if those items are better for you. But if you're in a guild that has only 2 out of 8 heroic bosses down, and you know you won't get to Ulatek for another 6 weeks, it doesn't make sense to hoard these bonus rolls. For one thing, you'll progress more slowly yourself, and you might have a harder time getting into keys because your gear isn't up to date. As a pure Mythic Plus player, you won't have any more chances at Mythic gear, except from the vault. And secondly, you're also hurting your guild's progress. If you really take longer on heroic bosses, so every player misses out on a 318 item just so they have a chance at their best in slot item in 2 or 3 weeks. But by doing this, you easily miss out on 1 or 2 item levels per week on every character, which would theoretically make things easier for you again. So I have to say, aside from that, I also think it's no fun to hoard these bonus rolls. And by October at the latest, I think we'll have access to the rolls. I don't know. If you ask me, for the majority of players, it would make absolutely no sense to act like that. Aside from the fact that I wouldn't enjoy looking forward to the vault. And then I would only ever take the dice item with me. So you don't have to optimize everything. What do you say to that? You don't have to do everything perfectly, and always look for how to get the maximum out of it. If you have a good item, just take it. No one will care about it in 4 weeks anyway. And if in doubt, you'll probably benefit more from just, I don't know, if I have a good, what's my weakest right now? I don't know. If I have a good headpiece here. Or a tier set piece or something like that, then I get the set bonus. I have, I don't know, 2 more item levels. And that gets me much, much further for the moment than maybe having the chance to roll for a top boss item in 5 weeks. And here too, I haven't decided whether I want to start raiding again. I also don't plan on doing it again for now. I couldn't use those bonus rolls there. And to count on getting anywhere with pickup groups, I think it's going to take a very long time before you can properly take down Ula Ula Tech in heroic mode. That's why for me it doesn't make any sense. Get the items that are good for you and just approach it with a bit of, I don't know, common sense. If all 3 options are really total garbage, then of course it makes sense to take a bonus roll. But for most players, go for it. Go for the loot. What do you think about it? Feel free to write it in the comments. And with that, thanks for watching. See you in the next video and take care.